Good evening, and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. The stars of our movie this week had to work hard not to be outstaged by their animal co-stars. Hi, everybody, I'm Red Robinson. Our movie this week is Project X, starring Matthew Broderick and Helen Hunt. Broderick's character is assigned to care for some talented chimps who are being used in military experiments, and Helen Hunt makes him realize this could have deadly results. Here's Act 1 of Project X. We're featuring Project X this week on Red's Classic Theater. For youthful-looking Matthew Broderick, the ability to play younger men has made it difficult for him to land roles where he would play men of his own age. Broderick first made himself known to moviegoers in 1983 when he played a high school computer whiz in War Games. In real life, Broderick had already turned 21. He scored an even bigger success 3 years later in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And we'll look at some of Matthew Broderick's grown-up roles when Red's Classic Theater returns in a moment. If Matthew Broderick has used his youthful good looks to his advantage, he's also accepted mature roles that have allowed him to play characters more of his own age. He played a transvestite's lover in Torch Song Trilogy and was the commander of the 1st African-American Regiment in the Civil War in Glory. And of course, matching wits with Jim Carrey in The Cable Guy surely added a few gray hairs to his head. But Matthew Broderick experienced a real-life incident that would age him more than any film role. More on that later. Now let's go back to Project X. Hope you're enjoying Project X this week on Red's Classic Theater. It took a tragic real-life incident to age Matthew Broderick more than any film role could. After completing Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Broderick and actress Jennifer Grey traveled to Ireland on holiday. While out driving, Broderick mistakenly steered his car across the center line and into an oncoming vehicle. 2 women were killed in the accident, and Broderick suffered a broken leg. Fined for careless driving, Broderick later recalled the accident as a terrible, terrible thing. Now let's return to Project X. Helen Hunt is starring in Project X this week on Red's Classic Theater. In a career that began at the age of 10, Helen Hunt has proven to be one of those rare actors who can move easily from roles on television to the movies and back again to TV. Since her first big screen appearance in 1977, her roles have grown in importance. She held on for dear life when Twister blew into the theaters in 1996, and she walked home with the Oscar as Best Actress for her role opposite Jack Nicholson in As Good as It Gets. But Helen Hunt may be best remembered for her work on television. More in our next segment. Now back to Project X. We're featuring Project X this week on Red's Classic Theater. Helen Hunt is best known to TV 12 viewers as Mad About You's Jamie Buckman, a role that's earned the actress 2 Emmys and 3 Golden Globes. But after a run that began in 1992, both she and series creator Paul Reiser have decided that it's time to call it a day. Hunt, who's also worked on the show behind the scenes, will direct the series finale, scheduled to air later this month. I wanted to be a part of it, she said, rather than just have it happen to me. Now back to Helen Hunt in Project X. Matthew Broderick will be on the big screen in a big way in 1999. In Election, Broderick comes full circle from his Ferris Bueller role, this time playing a high school guidance counselor. He also has a role in the upcoming film, Walking to the Waterline, and the lead role in the Disney production, Inspector Gadget, which is due out this summer. And we'll have more in just a moment. For Helen Hunt, the end of Mad About You is another opportunity for her to work on the big screen. Her next role is in Tom Hanks' Castaway, directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it's due out next year. Now let's return to Project X. Next Sunday night on Red's Classic Theater, a scientific experiment turns a man into an insect. Vincent Price and David Hedison star in a sci-fi classic, The Fly. Our movie next week on Red's Classic Theater. And that wraps up our show for this week. Hope you enjoyed Project X, starring Helen Hunt and Matthew Broderick. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:50 CI with the Wake Up Club, and next week here on Red's Classic Theater at 10 p.m. Thanks for being with us. Good night, everybody. Project X on Red's Classic Theater will continue. Project X on Red's Classic Theater will continue. Project X on Red's Classic Theater will continue. This week on Red's Classic Theater, Matthew Broderick, Helen Hunt, and some talented chimps are caught in the middle of Project X, Sunday night at 10, here on TV 12. Tonight on Red's Classic Theater, Matthew Broderick, Helen Hunt, and some talented chimps are caught in the middle of Project X, tonight at 10, here on TV 12. Project X on Red's Classic Theater, Sunday night at 10. Project X on Red's Classic Theater, tonight at 10.